So this is something we've really got to be conscious of today, as we go forward. I'm going to show you a little bit here as far as this Olympic event. There was only 2 teams, and I'll show you how this really graphically plays out. There's only 2 teams, that were out there competing for this event. The 2 teams were USA and Russia. And bottom line is, here's the United States finishes first, Russia finishes second. We could go back to the Michael Phelps situation. It was 0.01 seconds apart. But here's what happened. They took these facts here, and they took this information down, and they looked at this information, and here's what the United States newspaper said. The U.S. newspaper said USA finishes first, Russia finishes dead last. And you look at these side by side, and if you just read this headline, USA finishes first, Russia finishes dead last, and didn't see the order of finish, what you would potentially look at saying, wow, we did great, and Russia really did terrible. They were the worst of the group through that process. Now, conversely, we could take those same facts and look at it as a Russian newspaper would pour it out, and they would put it out like this. Russia finishes second, United States finishes next to last. Now, you look at that and you say to yourself, well, yeah, Tom, but that, and all they've taken is the facts that are over here on the left and packaged those facts in such a way to be able to put them out, to their best interest. And these are the systems side by side. And you could look at one paper and come up with some more conclusion. Your kind of mind plays a little bit trick on you as far as where that goes. And the Russian newspaper comes over here and plays a trick on you the other way. So it's interesting to be able to look at that. And that's really what the media's job is to be able to do, is to position this, to where they're at. So in the media, why did they do that? Well, they distorted it for the benefit of each country. Years ago, they called it propaganda. Combat negative media with truthful numbers. That's how we get around it. The media is going to be out there portraying this negative connotation. And the only way to be able to combat media is with truthful numbers, facts. Show them numbers, show them things that are going on with that. In the foreclosure, in a foreclosure situation, where do people go? And I think this is the number one, if you just look at this, if you understand this, both in all of your components as far as which side that you folks reside on, but in a foreclosure situation, which one of those folks wind up, where do they go? And I think the media wants us to believe that these folks wind up going out into the fields. They're going to live, your husband and wife will live in this chair over here in the field, and the kids will live in this chair. And that's totally not true, but if they put enough time into this, they will have us so scared that that's where we think we're going to wind up going. If that truly was the case, where most people were going to be homeless after they got foreclosed upon in that situation, what should happen there? We should be just investing in shopping carts. And I say this to you because that's what they want to be able to. People should be bumping into each other with all their belongings in a shopping cart. But in reality, we know it from a common sense approach. That's not true. Where do people go in a foreclosure? They rent. So consequently, what we have to be able to do is look at this and really determine in a foreclosure, is that going to be good or bad? So when we understand this and we really look at this strictly from an emotional standpoint, is that good or bad? Is renting good or bad? And if we have anybody on the call from California, I did a presentation out in California, and I asked the question, I said, do you think after a foreclosure situation, do you think the demand by either the housewife or the house husband is going to be stronger or weaker? And they kind of looked at me a little bit with, kind of like, let me rethink that question. But will the demand to own, this is somebody who's owned a home before, will the demand to own be stronger or weaker in that situation? And I have to tell you that I think the demand is going to be stronger. And as if we know the demand to own is going to be stronger, then what's going to happen is if the lockout period is somewhere between 3 and 5 years, 3 FHA, 5 conventionally, and if that lockout period is 3 to 5 years, we know that those people will be kicking down the barn door to go back out there and look for home ownership somewhere between 3 and 5 years. So I believe that once all this stuff comes out, once all the things, kind of the smoke clears, I believe there'll be another boom, in 3 to 5 years, depending upon that situation. But deep down inside the soul of those people, I think they really have a burning desire to be able to own a house. Because in most cases, renting still stinks. I mean, you're not getting any tax benefits. You can't do anything to the walls. You're only looking year to year. So it kind of makes you crazy. But that's really the facts. And I think when you progress this and you understand this, I think it's a whole lot easier for us to look at that. And I strongly believe that I think the demand will be stronger moving forward through that period of time. So let's talk about why 2008 is different. And it is different. And if we've got any veterans on the call, I had a group, the last group that I spoke to in Vegas, there was probably half the group was in the business over 20 years. And I looked at that and they said, Tom, it's really different today for that. And I believe I know the reason why it's different today. And why is it different? Well, obviously we're connected through the Internet, every www that's out there. You've got still voicemail going out there and people spamming you, and then you've got email, and then you've got podcasts, and you've got certain things going on there, and you've got people texting back and forth. Oh my gosh, did you hear about WAMU today, or Shearson Lehman, or any of the people that Indie Bank, and you start looking at these things. And then you got blogs and things of that nature. In Corey's case, when I offered to be a part of what she's working on here, I think we've got to be able to really stay positive through this thought process of a blog. And then you've got all these other things going on. You've got still CNBC competing with Fox News, competing with MSNBC, CNN, 85 high-definition direct TV channels, and that wasn't around 10 years ago. It was in its infancy stage, but all these people are competing for negative media. So consequently, everywhere we turn, we're getting these shots to our head with regards to what's happening, and woe is me. And I've seen more people not get on a roll today than ever before because they buy into some of the things that are going on there. I call this the 51-49 proposition, meaning that it is razor thin right now whether folks are in the positive light or whether they're in the negative light, meaning that 51 is the positive light and 49 is the negative light. And sometimes if you get into the negative side of things and 49, you get sucked right back down into the 12 zone. And that's what makes us all crazy. And we just cannot get on a roll today mentally. And I think it's real important that we understand why it's different and why this is really, in comparison to where we were at before, why it's truly different with what's going on out there. And then you've got Starbucks out there to be able to say we get all this negative things going on in our heads, then we can go to Starbucks and talk to our friends and neighbors with regards to why the things are happening out there. And I think that's what's making us all a little bit crazy today. And I think we've really got to be able to guard against that. I've made it a point in my, in my newfound niche of why I need to be a part of this is that it's very important for us to be able to stay positive, and it's very important for us to be able to stay half full rather than half empty. And once we do that, especially most of you folks that are on the call, we have to be leaders of that in this organization of life. We have to be the ones to be able to portray that figure to those folks. So I believe in 2008, connectivity accelerates negativity, meaning that in that scenario, as we see this, I think it's far different today, with what's going on there, with some of the things that we're seeing as we affected that. So as we look at this and we start moving forward, I think our role has shifted. I think our job has to be able to be to tell the people. We have to present the truth, combat the media. And I really believe that that's important today. And when I say present it, I think we have to present it in an organized fashion. I have to present it professionally because I think a lot of us in a situation are really guilty till proven innocent today. And I think that the media is very much on guard, especially with the mortgage folks and even people who are in banks today, as far as what's going on. And we have to be able to present that truth in order to be able to combat that media.